Good morning and welcome to our wonderful show, Let's Go Places, sponsored by Paul Muller here at Team Toyota. It's a show that we've been very proud about for the past 14 years now. I can't believe it. 14 years, it goes by like the snap of a finger. And it's reaching out and increasing the awareness to our listenership about all the brave and courageous efforts of our police, our fire, our military, medical. We have to incorporate all of them because they are truly our heroes. Today's a special show, as you can see, if you're out there listening and watching. We have some special guests here that are going to talk a lot about and provide some notable points of interest about police work, investigations, how the Middletown Township Police Department here, right at Team Toyota and covering this community, how, they keep you nice and safe, and it's so important for you to listen in so that you can understand a little bit about the structure of police work. I'm here with Chief Joe Barbarilla. Joe, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Captain Pete Carroll and Melissa Robeson, who joined us as well. Did I say that right?
No,
well,
Feeney.
Feeney. I'm saying Carroll.
You said Carroll.
Why am I saying? Well, we're not going to use fictitious names. We're going to use a real one.
No, but it's going to be a great joke.
It's going to be.
That's right.
So, yeah, absolutely.
You just set me up.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But we're going to talk on Charlie Esposito, my partner here in crime, who's a retired Philadelphia police officer, as myself, and for many, many years working the streets of Philadelphia as with Joe. Now, I don't know, Pete, did you have any time in Philadelphia as well?
No, I've spent my whole career here in Middletown.
Great. God bless you for that, and wonderful work that you're doing, which we're going to be talking about today. Once again, I want to thank Paul Muller, who's the sponsor of this show, and there's a lot to discuss today, Charlie.
Yeah, we got a lot on the table today.
Yeah,
so
no question.
Move along pretty quick.
Yeah, we want to get right into the meat and potatoes of it. Joe, let's begin with your history, how you began as a Philadelphia police officer and transcended to the rank of chief up here. How did it all start for you?
And so before I start, can I just say just a few things for about 30
you
seconds?
May.
Right.
Absolutely.
So,
this is your show.
right, on behalf of our entire police department, we do want to thank Team Toyota for being a great partner with us and a great partner with the community. We do appreciate everything that you do and everything that Paul Muller does for our community. So, and one other thing that I want to do on behalf of our entire police department, I wanted to get this out right away. We just want to offer our condolences to Temple University Police Department for the loss of Officer Christopher Fitzgerald. Back in 2009, when I was captain of the 23rd District, I worked pretty closely with Temple University PD. You don't hear a lot about them. They have an outstanding police department. Their headquarters is state-of-the-art technology, and they do an amazing job really keeping their campus safe and trying to keep their campus safe for the students and the visitors. And I know this is a very difficult time for them. So on behalf of all of us at Middletown Township, we'll be at the funeral Friday. We'll be at the viewing tomorrow night. I just want to offer our condolences to his family and his colleagues.
Well, thank you so much for that, Joe, especially being in the commanding officer in the 23rd District, which encompassed that area down there.
Yeah, it does.
They happen to be, if I'm not mistaken, using that word the Temple University Temple police officer, the Temple Police Department, the fifth largest department in the state of Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so back in 2009, they were around 125 sworn. I don't know what they are now
today, yeah.
but they're fairly large. They were as large a department as we were a district in the 23rd. So when you combined us, you had almost 300. It was good, and they were great partners to work with. Very very collaborative, and their leadership was excellent. I'm sure it still is, and so I just wanted to put that out there that we're offering them our condolences.
Yeah, we extend our condolences as well on behalf of our program here at Team Toyota, Paul Muller and the entire management team, as well as our all of our salesmen. We're deeply saddened by this horrible event that occurred down in North Philadelphia, and it's awareness for the listenership to understand this is a dangerous job, police work, and it's 7 days, 24 hours a day, as you're aware of.
And when we get into some of our challenges in Middletown Township, we'll talk about what that means, the 24/7, 365, coverage.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Boy, I guess I should be looking for a Carol out there now after using Pete.
Right.
How can I mess up the name Feeney? I grew up with all the Feeneys. I don't know if there's a relation.
Probably not. There's
no.
not a whole lot that I'm related to that are still in the area.
Okay.
But you tell me where you grew up with them. And
Mayfair. I was at Old Dean and Frankfurt Avenue in Mayfair, Northeast Philadelphia.
No, we're up in Morrell Park. I grew up in Morrell Park.
Okay.
My parents lived till they passed away in Torresdale after they moved from Morrell Park, but didn't really have any family down in the Mayfair area. Except for right off Edmond and Tacony.
Okay.
My grandmother lived there years and years ago.
Okay.
So,
Well, Feeney's a very common name,
Yeah.
but an important name in the Irish community. That's for sure. It's a wonderful
Yeah,
name.
we have a few Feenies in our retirees.
Do we really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm probably not related to you, but
no.
it's a common name. It's not as much as Smith and
Oh yeah, no question about it.
Brown. We have a lot of them.
I'd love to tell you some Feeney stories, but we have more important issues to talk about.
We could tell you some Feeney stories.
Yeah, I'm sure. Some of them are actually even true.
Yeah.
Are they really?
Some of them.
It's a wonderful thing. How can we announce them on the air? I mean, it may be a little.
What do you think, Morris?
Yeah, the first 1,000 are true. The rest are.
Well, let's get back to your history, Joe. As humble as you are, I think it's important for the community here to understand how you began, what made you a police, or what gave you the impetus to become a police officer, and how you transcended from that point.
Yeah, I'm really not comfortable talking about
No.
myself, but I will share some of my history.
I know.
I know that was part of coming on the
I'll
show.
do the
so
bragging for you. Joe.
no, don't. There's no reason to really.
Okay.
But anyway, I was 21 when I went into the police academy, and I actually started with Philadelphia Housing Police.
Oh, no kidding. Okay,
Yeah,
so you
I
had a
didn't-
little taste for
Yeah,
police work that way.
So I was with the Housing Police for a couple of years, and actually Jimmy Donnelly, who's the chief of Warminster PD, he started with Housing Police too.
Oh, no
as
kidding.
well.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that. His
So there's
father was my sergeant
Okay,
in the
right.
25th.
Right, and then also was the chief of Central Bucks Regional for 25 years, and then just retired recently within the past couple of years. He did a full career in Philly and a full career in Bucks.
Wow.
But anyway, I started with Housing Police, and after 2 years, I transitioned to Philly PD in October of '94, and I went to the 17th District. And then a couple years later, in Philly, maybe one of the advantages, one of the disadvantages, depends on who you talk to, is you can take promotional tests fairly quickly.
Sure.
You only have to have a year on to be a corporal or a detective. So I took the corporal's test with a little over a year on, and I got promoted to corporal in '96, and then just went up the ranks. And I was an inspector. I made inspector in 2010, and then I had always gotten the itch to want to maybe become a chief somewhere, and I started putting my resume out. At first you think I'll get hired, this will be easy, but it's not as easy as you think. It's very competitive, and there's a lot of really highly qualified men and women going for these positions. And I happened to see that Middletown Township was hiring a chief, and so I knew Middletown. I knew Sesame Place was here. The Oxford Valley Mall was here. I used to go. Used to be a Borders bookstore in the Target shopping center that I used to go to all the time. So I know a little bit about Middletown. I put my resume in, my application in, and then went through the process and was fortunate enough to get offered the position. There were a lot of really highly qualified candidates.
Sure.
So I'm very grateful to our township manager, who's still here, Stephanie Tioli-Cools, and we have a great board of supervisors now. But of course, I'm always going to have a lot of affection for the board, the original board that hired me.
Of course.
So I'm always grateful to those five, for just giving me the opportunity. And it's been almost 9 years.
It's incredible how
Yeah.
fast the time goes by, isn't
I
it,
know.
Joey?
Yeah, time moves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I always say this. I mean, so I feel like as a boss, any success that you have is really never you. It's always the people who work for you, and so like we really do have a great police department here. I sometimes wish I could communicate that more to the community.
You're doing it now.
I know.
Yeah. It's a great.
But a lot of times, especially Pete will tell you, we hear a lot of times, when people aren't satisfied, right? We hear a lot of the complaints, and they're legitimate. We do our best to address them, and I think we do a good job of it. But sometimes I really wish I could share with the public. Middletown's big. It's 20 square miles, 46,000 residents. There's a big business community here. And we're 59 sworn, and I think we do a really good job with those 59 of keeping our community safe. And not only policing our community well, but the community outreach that we do, right? And Pete also does a lot of the community outreach. In his past, Pete was a bike officer who did a lot of community policing, which is very important. It's kind of a hallmark with the history of this department.
Sure.
And it's part of what makes us, I think, as effective and as successful as we are. So I'm very grateful to the staff that I have.
Yes.
Because if I look good, it's really because of them, and that's the truth.
That's remarkable. And obviously from you straight on down, from Captain Pete Feeney and some of your sergeants, Officer Robeson. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the community service work that she does. We're going to talk about the ALICE program,
yes,
which was embraced by the Neshaminy School District, I understand.
It was, and Pete and Melissa are ALICE instructors, so they can speak
great.
to that. Yes.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit and articulate and that's the purpose of this, to get the message out to the community and understand there's a lot of work that goes behind police, the science of it, investigative work, to keep this community safe and secure, which is what we're going to continue to talk about. Let's talk about how many police officers are in this community right now in Middletown. How many officers do we have approximately?
Right. So I mean, we're authorized for 59.
Okay.
You rarely have that, right?
Sure.
We're always we'll have a retirement, or we'll be in the process of hiring. And like anything else, right, the challenges of police departments are pretty universal. We sometimes deal with injuries. We sometimes deal with long-term illnesses and things like that. So we're rarely truly at a full 59, but that is our authorized number. We are hiring someone, believe it or not, a Philadelphia sergeant is coming here. He's starting this Monday, the 27th.
Great.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to be excellent for us. And we're in the process of hiring another because we have one of our outstanding sergeants, Mike Lubold, is retiring at the end of March, and so we have to replace him.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, we're big enough that we're always kind of in the hiring mode.
Sure.
that number that we're
and
at.
That's important.
Yeah, it is.
How's your training? Do you have?
I was going to talk about that. It's
right.
great.
Right.
The accreditation.
I didn't mean to interrupt you guys. I just was wondering.
No, that's good.
I was wondering how. They don't train at our facility.
At the police academy?
The police academy, do they?
So it depends. Well, obviously the Philly sergeant we're hiring went through the Philadelphia Police Academy. I went through Philly Academy. Pete went through Philly's Academy. Melissa, you went through Monco, right?
Montgomery County?
Yep.
Okay.
So the way we're a department in Bucks. Some departments in Bucks County, you already have to be certified to be hired. We're one of the departments that will actually send a candidate to the academy if they don't have it. And we'll utilize any academy that is open at the time that we need it.
Conveniently, right? Sure.
Temple University has a police academy based in Ambler. Montgomery County is out in Bluebell, part of the community college, and then Philadelphia, of course, and there are others. The last two officers that we've put through the academy have gone through Monco. And I like Monco. They do an outstanding job.
I think they all do a good job.
They do. Yeah, they do. Yep.
I think ours is a little too long now. I don't know how long you were at the academy.
Yeah.
Tom and I went for 12 weeks.
12 weeks.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
12 weeks. And
yeah, we
and
went
2 weeks was out in the street.
I know. I heard stories from some of the veterans. I remember when I was a rookie, they were in the academy for like 3 weeks. I was like, wow. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
I
know.
Yeah, that there's another story with the police academy and the training we received there. I mean, it was great, intensive, and if you made use of it, you could pick a lot up so that you're already prepared for some of the examinations to accelerate yourself.
Yes.
As a supervisor and all. And now we have our police academy on Woodhaven Road, which is great.
Right.
Yeah. State Road is now a specialized area for, I think,
highways there.
Highway patrol, stakeout. No, not stakeout. Highway patrol.
I think
stakeouts there as well. They have a building in the back there.
Yeah, they built a brand new
and
building.
I think K9 has a building in the back.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And the bomb squad.
Yeah, and the bomb squad.
And I think the range is still there too.
Yeah,
the range is still down there as well. Well, we have a lot of units, but we want to bring into for our listenership to hear about. We're going to take a quick pause for our station to applaud our sponsors, such as Paul Muller, and don't go anywhere. There's a lot for you to learn and listen to about all the work behind police efforts here in the community of Middletown Township. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
There really is nothing like a home team advantage. That's why Team Toyota makes a great choice for your next vehicle purchase or service. With our MVP pricing guarantee, teammate rewards program, and streamlined customer experience, our award-winning operation ensures that you can trust our process. A home team advantage is nothing without the community. Our employees are part of our family, part of your town, and we're all part of the team. We're always here for you at one of our 3 locations in Princeton, Langhorne, and Glen Mills, or at teamtoyota.net.
Hey, this is Jonesy. Kick off your Thursday and Friday evenings in style. Join me for an eclectic freeform mix of the hits and beyond. It's a happening, a musical journey. It's the Glenn Jones Radio Experience, right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, Thursday and Friday, 5 to 6 p.m., directly following the legendary Jerry Blavitt. Radio, the way it ought to be.
WBCB is now on your FM dial at 107.3. Serving Bucks, Burlington, and Mercer counties since 1958, you can now listen to all of your BCB favorites crystal clear on 107.3 FM. A new age for WBCB on a new frequency, 107.3.
Welcome back to Let's Go Places here in the showroom, our beautiful new car showroom here at 746 East Lincoln Highway. Paul Muller, our sponsor, doing this show now. We've been doing it so that we're constantly increasing the awareness of the courageous efforts of our police and our fire. Our special guest today, special guests, plural, we have Chief Joe Barbarilla. And let me see if I can get this right now this time. Captain Peter Feeney, not Carol, Feeney. And Melissa Robeson is here with us as well, so that they can discuss and tell you a little bit about their experience and the hard efforts that they apply here to keep you safe and secure. Joe, what investigative or special unit should we begin with? Because I know there's a lot of them. Canine, bike squad, school resource officers,
right?
Community relations.
Yep. So we're blessed in that we're big enough that we can do some specialties, and we do take advantage of it. But like anything else, the backbone of our department is patrol.
Absolutely.
Right? It's about 70%, or maybe even a little more, of our department is focused on patrol.
7 days, 24 hours.
Exactly. Right. You always need that, and that's going to be the backbone of any department. I know that's a cliche, and you hear it all the time, but it's true. But one thing that we're also blessed with is the ability to do some specialization, and
certainly.
Canine is one of our specialty units that I know is it's very it's a source of pride within our department. We have an excellent canine unit. They're actually integrated into patrol. So
right.
They go out on patrol with the officers, similar to the way it used to be in Philly.
Yes.
When you stood roll call, there was a canine at every
canine
roll call.
Right.
Remember
yep. those days, Jolly?
Yeah. So, and I know a lot of departments in Bucks have canines, and we're also, we're blessed to have 4, one on each patrol squad. Our bike officers, now that's a little different. We don't have a year-round bike officer program, so we try to get the bikes out, during the spring, summer, and fall.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
sure.
and that's more of just like an up close and personal, so that you can get into the communities and actually. Sometimes I heard an instructor in a command school many years ago say, police cars are very impersonal. The drive-by policing, the windows up, it's hot in the summer, you drive by 30 miles an hour.
Sort of like a beat man.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right.
Like that that old idea of having the beats and you got to know who your officers were.
Sure.
So when you're on bikes, you're up close and personal with the community.
Of course.
You stop, you're going to talk to the kids, you're going to talk to the adults, you're going to just talk to people, out and about, and that's been really successful for us. The other thing that was very important to me when I got here, there was a time in our department's history where we taught DARE. We're back to teaching DARE. Melissa teaches DARE. We had an officer, Dan Deacon, who was our DARE officer, and he was very involved with teaching DARE and in the schools. But when the grant money, dried up, Dan was kind of removed from teaching DARE, and then we didn't have that school connection.
I see.
And I know you have Fred Horan on here a lot, and Fred always says that people.
What's his last name?
Yeah.
Just kidding you, Fred.
Yeah. So anyway, he always says that a key, like when people move to places, they want to know that it's safe and they want to know that the schools are good, right?
Yeah, right.
That's what he always says, right? So one of the things to me is building the connection between the police and the school district
Sure.
is very important. So we did start our school resource officer program. Officer Bob Weber was our first SRO in 2014, and we've kind of built it from there. We now have an officer in the high school and officer in the middle school. Melissa is our SRO in the middle schools. and that's been really good to help us connect with our school district. And our SROs aren't just for the public school. We also all the private schools in our township as well, right, benefit from our SRO program.
Oh, it's really saturated well comprehensively across the community in Middletown Township.
And we are back to teaching DARE.
Are you?
Yeah.
Drug awareness, resistance education.
Yeah, they've kind of changed it from its original, right? Because I know there's some controversy over DARE and the old just say no, and it's not like that anymore. It's kind of like a decision making based model of instruction. Melissa does an outstanding job teaching it. Holy Family Regional and Our Lady of Grace, right?
Holy Family.
Just Holy Family? Okay.
Holy Family.
Okay. So, but, those are some of our specialties. We have some SWAT team members. There's a regional SWAT team. Of course, no department is big enough to have their own here.
No.
So several departments kind of collaborate to form, a SWAT team, and there's 3 of them in Bucks.
Yeah, and there's a cohesiveness, as you just mentioned, with some of the surrounding townships as well.
Right.
Whenever anything does get to a point where you need some help,
right,
everyone joins in.
Yeah, you can't be an island.
No.
It's nice sometimes. I sometimes like to say, hey, I just wish we could do it, with Middletown.
Right.
And I know for a long time Philly was very insular, like they didn't really collaborate with surrounding departments. But in Bucks County, it's very tough to be an island.
Yes.
So you have to work with your neighboring departments, and that's a good thing.
Yes.
Because you build relationships that way, you collaborate better that way, you get to know your fellow chiefs, command staffs, and officers in neighboring jurisdictions that way. And
Absolutely.
I think it lends to better police work overall throughout the county.
No question about it. Well, did we want to bring Captain Feeney in and also Melissa?
We do,
because I've talked a little bit about some of the.
Yeah, I've talked way too much.
No.
I want them to.
We need more from you.
No,
but, obviously, that would be a great idea for them to come in and discuss some of the experiences that they have.
Great.
So, welcome. Thanks for coming today, Melissa and Captain. Let's talk a little bit about some of the experiences that you have that surround the community's issues and concerns, because it's important. And education is so important as well. And building that relationship with our citizens.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
It's the meat and potatoes of my job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your experience and everyday activity that goes on.
Sure. So I was hired by the chief in 2015, and very quickly after that, he decided that we were big enough to have a community relations officer. And I came from a previous police department where I was doing some undercover work and doing very different things. So I went from buying drugs to giving high fives and tying shoelaces.
Okay.
So it was
That's a big contrast.
It was a huge
It was
contrast.
an easy
a transition, right? Yeah.
But I think that I have totally found my niche in doing that, and I have enjoyed it immensely. Just trying to find opportunities to integrate ourselves with the community, and a lot of it has to do with the children. And so being the school resource officer and the community relations officer at the same time really is just a job that goes hand in hand. And I get to think of all different ways to include these families and kids in different things, and educate them about what we really do, not what the television tells you that we
Exactly.
do, but
It's so
what
slanted.
actually
Yeah,
happens.
Exactly.
So we get to build incredible relationships with our school, with the parents, and with the students that are at these schools, and it's a great time.
It's all about education to the community, and then building that, the cohesiveness.
Sure.
That makes it so important, so that everyone's involved.
Exactly.
Probably Melissa's biggest problem with all the things she does is that she needs to clone herself, though. I mean, she gets outrageously busy between the schools and the community programs and trying to keep it all going. And every idea leads to another great idea that just keeps building, but there are days where she's running ragged trying to keep on top of all that. It's a lot for one person to handle.
But, it's good that she has a captain to look up to and get that direction and that support as well. How many do you have in this special unit? Is it just yourself? Okay, for now. So that's why it's so much a lot of work.
It's Melissa. Other people jump in and help out where they can when time allows. Certain programs like Shop with a Cop, everybody comes together, but she's really the one that's organizing it from start to finish.
And that's great. So you have that administrative support that you can provide for which is also very important as well.
Yeah, I can't remember a time that they told me no to one of my crazy ideas. They
Yeah.
usually let me run with it.
Crazy sometimes it's
Probably
good.
because she just has it halfway done by the time she proposes it. It's already lined up and ready to go. I mean, she's got all her
It's a good selling point.
Yeah, she's got all her legwork done ahead of time before she comes up with the idea. But
yeah, so Pete, when she approaches you, it's one of these situations where, well, if you do say no, this is all the exertive work that I've done over the past week or two. So, are you going to say no or yes?
Yeah,
of course, it's always yes.
She's learned it's not can I, it's I have this lined up ready to go. So you can say no if you want, but it's already lined up and ready to go before she brings it to us, which is just fine. Cause
a leader in the community, you know just how to get things done, which is important. Do you find aggressive support with the parents in the schools and all? Because I think that's so important. I mean, the parents have to understand that there has to be a tie and a correlation with the police efforts to at least provide that, what am I looking for, the support and the inspiration for children to look up to a police officer.
I think at first it was the parents and adults learning what my job was at the school. I was not there to be taking kids out in handcuffs, and that was not my main focus. My main focus is to build relationships, keep the kids safe, teach the teachers different things like Alice and other things, just advise them on different things. And then as soon as I got there, I just started to find opportunities that were just not taken hold of. During COVID was one of them, and we found out just how much some of our families were struggling. So
of course,
we started something called the Fresh Start closets and pantries. So now in every single elementary school and both of our middle schools, I have closets where the kids can come and get anything from socks and underwear to pants, hoodies, snacks, toiletries, pens, pencils, crayons, markers, backpacks, all of those things. So there's one in every school, and I think the families are really appreciative that I'm doing more than what they thought I was there to do.
Well, that's great. And you're building that, once again, that inspiration with the children. They look up to you. They realize the importance of police work and to respect it, not to disrespect it, which often occurs in some of the major cities, as we've seen at present right now.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic. It really is.
And the other thing, hopefully down the line, it hasn't been in place long enough to see it come through, but you're also having kids that may have never thought about a career in law enforcement have these positive interactions, and that may lead to our future recruits, which is what we need, because we have a recruiting problem right now. We don't get the number of people coming out, taking the test, applying for our jobs, that we used to. We're still getting enough to fill our needs, but it's getting harder and harder. So hopefully somewhere down the line, this also leads to, much better recruiting ideas, with these kids that are having the positive interactions now.
No question about it.
Now you have, I'm assuming you have like town halls, sort of like a town hall meetings with the community. Do you get a lot of response when you have one of these meetings? You have a lot of people come out?
I think it depends on the topic. We don't really do town halls. We do a coffee with a cop, and we have drawn big crowds.
Oh, you have a crowd there.
Yeah, so the neighborhoods will come out, and we can do it, especially for certain neighborhoods, certain businesses, but we invite the public in. So we've done that quite a bit. Yeah,
that seems to help a little bit with the community. I don't think Middletown community has the problems that Philadelphia has.
No.
Anyway, with the community.
Well, because they're on top of everything.
Yes.
As with
Philadelphia. It's their chief. It's their chief.
Exactly. It starts at the top, and it just goes all the way down to the work that's done professionally here.
I know.
Yeah, Philadelphia needs to make a lot of changes.
They need a lot of work.
My God. I felt bad for our friend, John McNesby. The work that he does is incredible, supporting the officers, but he always has a big task, representing all those officers down there and trying to keep their morale up.
Right.
We stood at a roll call, right after a roll call. We went down, we meaning the Retired Police Fire, our association, retirees, and we dropped off the cookies and everything to the inside crew at the 39th District, 22nd and Honey Park. It was 10 o'clock. And when I went to the parking lot, we parked our car, and I said, Charlie, there had to be 15, 20 police cars parked.
Unmanned.
I said, roll call's already finished. Who's out manning the streets? The inside crew, the commanding officer there, he had said to me and Charlie that there were 2 officers covering the 39th Police District.
You believe that?
It's terrible. It really is. I'm happy that we do not see that up here in Bucks County. It's professionalized, and there's a science that works and applies successfully with the neighborhood, with the children, and there's a lot more that we're going to be sharing with you so that you'll be incensed with the fact that you're in a great community here at Middletown Township. We're going to have a few words for our sponsor, and don't go anywhere because we're going to be right back with the Chief, Joe Barbarilla, Pete Feeney, and Melissa Robeson.
He's not going to let you live that down.
Oh, I can't believe I said it, but, I did. It's my old age. Right, Bree? We'll be right back after a few words from our sponsor.
There really is nothing like a home team advantage. That's why Team Toyota makes a great choice for your next vehicle purchase or service. With our MVP pricing guarantee, teammate rewards program, and streamlined customer experience, our award-winning operation ensures that you can trust our process. A home team advantage is nothing without the community. Our employees are part of our family, part of your town, and we're all part of the team. We're always here for you at one of our 3 locations in Princeton, Langhorne, and Glen Mills, or at teamtoyota.net.
Are you a parrot head?
Away again in Margarita.
Not that kind. That's more like it. If you're this kind of parrot head, don't forget to check out the Denny O Polka Show every Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon right here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
WBCB is now on your FM dial at 107.3. Serving Bucks, Burlington, and Mercer counties since 1958, you can now listen to all of your BCB favorites crystal clear on 107.3 FM. A new age for WBCB on a new frequency, 107.3.
Welcome back to Let's Go Places here at the Team Toyota dealership, sponsored by Paul Muller. And we're talking to Melissa Robeson about ALICE, A-L-I-C-E, and some of the other projects that each day are very much important, very credible for what the police department here in Middletown continues to do with our neighbors, with our citizens, which is really important, right, Melissa?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so ALICE is one of the options that's out there to teach an active shooter response. And between Captain Feeney and I think we've taught ALICE type of programs anywhere from eye doctors' offices to preschools and to obviously our schools here in the Neshaminy School District. And it is just, it's a training that I went to that was, life-changing. One of the first things that they do is they have you take on a normal lockdown position, which, from when I was in school, you just cover your head and you crouch down.
Of course.
And the instructor came through and shot every single one of us with an airsoft rifle, and it hurt. And then it was like, do you understand how stupid this was? And we've been teaching our children this for decades. And it was just really eye-opening. And from then on, I just kind of soaked all of that in. And there is a time and place for a traditional lockdown type of drill, but what we are dealing with more now is there's a danger out in the community or the danger is already inside of our school, and we need to start normalizing this kind of instruction so that the kids are not, stuck in fear and know something, because even if you don't know a lot, the only thing you're going to fall back on is your training. So if we can give them a little bit of that, they'll at least have something to pull from in a time of extreme stress.
And they make the parents feel good at home, when the children come home and explain what activities and what programs are involved out there, right, Joe?
Yeah, and the biggest difference with ALICE is it's a lot more active. It's not as passive. The typical run, hide, fight tends to end up being kind of a passive response. And what it's translated to in most of our schools, most of our private businesses, is lock the door, pull the shade, hope that person doesn't come in that room, where ALICE is a lot more active in finding a way out or preparing for what you're going to do should that person come in that room. It's just taking a little more control of the situation for yourself, doing what you can to protect yourself better, as opposed to just hiding in a room and hoping the problem doesn't come in. The comparison I use, talking to people about it, in a fire in a school, a fire drill. We don't go in one room, close the door, and hope the fire doesn't burn down that far to where we're hiding. We get out. And there's always this idea of, well, leaving, we're responsible for the safety of all these kids and they could wander away and all these things could happen, and that's absolutely true. But the risk of that is much less than the risk from an active shooter inside the school. So why do we hunker down and hope they don't come in that room when we don't do that for a fire? So why are we doing that with an active shooter?
That's a good point.
Yeah, and Alice, again, Alice is just a much more active response to a dangerous situation as opposed to being passive and hoping the problem doesn't find you.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, how many years have you been involved now with the Middletown community? We didn't talk too much about your background.
I've been here a little over 29 years.
29.
I
started.
I started here. I started. I went to the Philadelphia Police Academy a month before my 23rd birthday.
Okay.
And like I said, I've been here a little over 29 years now. My entire career has been here.
You look great for 52. My God.
I'm trying. I'm
Yeah.
trying. I'm trying to fight father time with everything I got.
We have to, right?
Yep.
Right, Joe? I mean, especially with all the stressful situations that follow or that encompass a police officer's activities day in and day out. You never know what you're going to confront. You leave your house, you never know if you're going to return. It's a lot of dangerous work. And education. I think that's most important. And Joe, you have this knack to be able to reach out to the community with these special programs.
Yes. Our community is very fortunate and blessed to
Yeah.
have that, right, as part of our police department.
No doubt about it. So you're feeling very good about, this work that's being done and the participation that the parents as well as the children are giving you. And it's great that we understand how it can change a person's perspective with police work to a point where, children especially, where they may aspire to becoming a police officer someday.
I always tell the kids, this is not a job, it's a way of life. And you have to be called to this way of life
right.
to, do the things that we do and reason those things out in your head and with your family, and it's a way of life.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to shift gears a little bit, unless there was more to cover with Alice. I wanted to cover with you, Joe, a couple points, and I would like you to give the listenership your perspective on it. How important is it that where the community can play a very significant role when there's criminal activity going on, and for people to be out there saying, I don't want to get involved, let the police handle that. Not good. I think that if the more that the community plays a significant role in helping thwart crime and criminal activity, I think that's the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, even when there's not criminal activity, it's always good for the community to be engaged and involved with the police department, right? And to me, that helps us when we do have a crime and we need information, right?
Sure.
You build that relationship and credibility with the community, and then it makes them more likely to help us. Because let's face it, we're 59. We're not going to be successful unless we have the support of our community.
No
behind
doubt
us,
about
right? There's absolutely no way.
That's why it's so important.
Right. And a lot of successful police departments across the country are that way because of the community support that they have. And some of it they generate by doing some of the programs that police departments do.
Yes, that's where it begins.
But a lot of that is just a credit to the community. Our profession has been under attack a little bit over the past couple of years, and I think in Bucks County, our community has remained strong in their support, behind us. I mean, I'm not saying they agree with everything they see out there nationwide and whatnot, but I think throughout Bucks County, and especially in Middletown Township, we've still maintained, I think, a very high level of support from our community, which is, again, important to our success. We do ask the community for tips from time to time. We do that through social media and other means, and our community has always been very helpful in helping us, and that helps us to solve crime and improve our quality of life and keep our community safer.
It's once again a cohesive effort,
right,
for everyone to get involved when they see something that's not right.
Right.
Obviously, the more that they trust with our police department and the benefits as a result of working with the police, I think it proves to be very effective.
Right. I mean, because it's not just crime; it's overall quality of life. Right. I mean, today I would argue that what's most important to everyone is just quality of life. It's day to day. I mean, there's serious crime happens, time to time all over. But overall, I think what really makes a community thrive is its overall quality of life, and there's a lot of components that go into that, right? I mean, one of the things that makes Middletown such a vibrant community is there's a lot of great neighborhoods,
yes.
tightly knit. There's a thriving business community, right, which Team Toyota is a big part of. And there's a lot of restaurants. There's a lot going on. There's access to highways, right? So it's a great place to live. The school district is outstanding. It's a great place to raise a family, and that's all part of what enhances, what brings the quality of life here, so high. And it's nice that as a police department we can be a small piece of that, and it's nice that we have the support of our community to help us be a piece of that.
Yes, yeah, no question about it. Well said. Let's talk a little bit about the investigative unit you have, detectives.
Sure.
How many do you have? What are those components?
Right. How many do we have? They would say not enough. Right. They would say probably double or triple is what they need. No. So we have an outstanding. We call it CID, Criminal Investigation Division. So we have 6 detectives.
Okay.
We have a sergeant and a lieutenant, and then we have a narcotics officer as well. That's with the detectives. So it's fairly sizable.
Sure.
And it allows us to do some in-depth investigations. The difference between here and Philly, in Philly, you write up a job and you go hand it to a detective and you're finished with it.
You're out of it.
Right. It's a little different in Bucks, because even when I got here and kind of saw the depth of the investigations that patrol officers did, I was thinking, oh boy, I don't know if I could even do that, myself, because you don't get that in Philly a lot of times. And I was never a detective. So here, a lot of times, because we're so busy, patrol officers have to do some in-depth investigations. But when it goes beyond their capabilities, then we have our detectives
unit
handle
criminal
it.
investigation.
Absolutely.
Occurs. And once again, for the sake of the listenership out there, if you see something that's going on, report it.
Absolutely.
Is there a number that they can call?
There is. So we have an anonymous tip line.
Do you really?
215-750-3888.
That's pretty easy to remember.
Yep. 215-750-3888. That's completely anonymous. Yeah. And if you go to our website, mtpd.org, we have like an anonymous form that you can submit. If you just click on it, you can submit an anonymous tip that way.
Sure. Do you find that a lot of these investigative procedures, once they become, operative, that the community does cooperate with whatever they can? I guess a lot of it begins with complaints.
It does. The community cooperates, and the other advantage that we have in Bucks that maybe Philly doesn't have, just because of the volume, our officers and our detectives especially are able to spend quality time, handling an investigation.
Of course.
Right? Because they have that ability to sometimes go deeper with an investigation, and maybe their counterparts in Philly wouldn't have. I see we're up against the break, so I don't want to.
Yeah, we're up. We can cover a little bit more. You're listening to Chief Joe Barbarilla, the top of the heap here in Middletown Township. You're listening to everything that's going on. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll return with the Chief, with Captain Pete Feeney, and also Melissa Robeson. Don't go anywhere. We have a lot more to share with you.
There really is nothing like a home team advantage. That's why Team Toyota makes a great choice for your next vehicle purchase or service. With our MVP pricing guarantee, teammate rewards program, and streamlined customer experience, our award-winning operation ensures that you can trust our process. A home team advantage is nothing without the community. Our employees are part of our family, part of your town, and we're all part of the team. We're always here for you at one of our 3 locations in Princeton, Langhorne, and Glen Mills, or at teamtoyota.net.
Hi, this is Mayor Jeff Martin of Hamilton Township, inviting you to tune in to our monthly radio show, This Month in Hamilton. Video stream live the 4th Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. at WBCB1490.com. We will be featuring various guests from Hamilton Township to keep you up to date on what's going on in Hamilton.
Opinions matter, and so does yours. Hi, I'm Joe Fabrizi, inviting you to join us every Monday at 1 p.m. for Opinions Matter, right here on 1490 AM WBCB. Opinions Matter is now live streamed at WBCB1490.com. We want to hear from you because your opinion does matter.
Welcome back to Let's Go Places. Great show today. We're listening to Chief Joe Barbarilla and our captain, who's has a grasp on everything that's going on here as well in the community of Middletown Township, Pete Feeney. Thanks for joining us. This is great stuff. We're going to have you back again and again and again because we're going to be covering all the different areas that surround Bucks County. But this is a good start. It's our home base. But yeah, I know that as we mentioned at break time, or as you mentioned at break time, often it really doesn't get to a point where we're ready to prosecute until it goes to in the hands of the district attorney. Correct?
Correct. Yep. I don't know if you wanted to elaborate.
Yeah,
on that.
we were just talking during the break. One of the big differences from the big cities, Philadelphia and other places like that, and some of the things that officers get involved in that you don't in Philadelphia or the larger cities is the prosecution phase. You know, most of our arrests, unless it's a major crime, it goes to a preliminary hearing in front of a local district judge, and the officer who made the arrest or the detective who made the arrest is actually presenting the case to the judge, testifying, questioning witnesses, cross-examining, defense witnesses, things like that. And it's kind of a big adjustment when we hire officers from Philadelphia. Like we mentioned, we have a Philadelphia officer starting with us next week. That's one of the big learning curves for them because the officer's involvement doesn't end at the arrest. It continues through, the preliminary hearing, preparing the case for court. Even when it goes to trial up in Doylestown, the arresting officer sits next to the DA that's prosecuting the case and helps them with evidence and questions they need to ask, and actually sits basically second chair in the prosecution at the trial, which is just a very different element from what officers in larger cities do involved with the prosecution. And personally, I enjoyed it. Some officers hate that part of it. I really enjoyed that part of the job, when I was on the street and actually making arrests, which I don't do anymore. But some officers do not enjoy that part of it, and some officers that come from the larger cities really have trouble making that adjustment to not just, arresting someone, taking them to a detective, handing them over, and having it go forward from there. They've got to type the charges. They have to decide what's appropriate. They have to type the probable cause affidavit and then follow through as part of the prosecution of the case, instead of just becoming a witness, basically, like most officers in larger places do.
Of course. And, that's where the prosecution begins, with that arresting officer, so that no one knows better than that person who was involved
I
with
think
it.
I'd enjoy doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, like I said, I always enjoyed it, but not everybody does.
Because many times the ADA doesn't ask the questions that you're sitting there listening to the ADA, and they don't ask what you really want to be brought out at the hearing, the preliminary hearing. But I think I would like doing that. Well, I don't know. Everybody's different, Nobody has
And it's tough when you're new, especially, the younger cops, the first couple times they have to do it, especially when they go up against a tough defense attorney.
Yeah.
And they're objecting to things and you don't even understand what they're talking about, and you're trying to prosecute this. So it makes it difficult. But once you kind of get comfortable with it and you're not intimidated going up against someone with a law degree and you don't have that,
Exactly. Good point.
It like I said, for me, it became an enjoyable part of the job to follow things through all the way through the prosecution.
On-the-job training.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You learn by your mistakes.
Yep.
I think it's important, not so much being aware as to who you're facing in that climate when you have the defense attorney, the defense attorney there, and if they have a great reputation, look at the judge. The judge is the one that's going to be doing the sustaining or, overruled. Understand the judge. Get into that person's head, he or she.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So that you understand, well, how is he going or she going to react to this objection? Because it's not so much that this defense attorney. I found that when I was on the police department. If you get to know the judge much and understand their antics and how they perceive things,
Yeah, and
we're a little bit ahead of the game, right, Joe?
And a lot of it you try to learn, through our field training program. The field training officer with a newer officer, first couple of arrests they make, they're going to be with them at court to help them with that part of it as well. But then, the first couple times when you're out of field training and you're on your own presenting this case, and everyone, usually our courts, they have certain days that criminal hearings are all scheduled on a certain day. So there would be other senior officers there that help the officer prepare their case and help them out with it. But ultimately, at some point, you're kind of jumping in the deep end of the pool and hoping you can swim.
Yeah, that's right. And it's important to get some of these rogues, I'd like to use the word, because in Bucks County, especially from our district attorney right on down to where the police work, we have a zero tolerance up here for the criminal activity. We don't want it, and we're going to prosecute as hard as we can, so as effective as we do here, so that they're going to end up in jail, and they'll think about, when they come out, are they going to commit that crime again? Recidivism, they call it, because up here, I don't think you'll see as much recidivism as we do in the major cities. And it's a tribute to the police work that we do.
It is, and again, just going back to partnerships real fast, like our detective division, it has an excellent partnership with the DA's office.
Wow, that's
right?
so important.
And it is important, and that comes from Matt Weintraub and Jen Shorn and the staff that they've developed there, and our detectives' ability to work closely with them certainly helps, in how we are able to prosecute cases.
Of course.
Right, handle cases.
Of course.
And we do work very, very closely. It's another thing I notice. I'm able to see the differences, the similarities and differences between Philly and Bucks.
My God,
there's a much closer relationship here between our detectives and the district attorney's office than there was in Philly. Some of that might be due to size, but I think also it's due to the leadership and the different personalities. I guess, involved. Right.
Arguably the best way to explain it. Major city and up here. Although we have a lot of.
This is a sizable county,
right?
It is. It's 650,000 people, so it's not small potatoes
no,
up here.
It's not.
And that is great that Matt maintains that kind of working relationship with all the detective divisions throughout the county.
Always has, right?
Always has. Yep, always has.
And very smart, Jolly.
Yeah. Well, how we like Matt. Matt's good
great.
friend of. He goes with us on our tour.
He's on the board of directors with our Bucks County Tour of Honor. Are you familiar with
Yep, we are.
the Tour of Honor? It's a great organization. It's a 501c3. And our next trip, incidentally, is coming up April the 24th. Joe, Pete, Melissa, if you know any veterans, all different age categories, we still have World War II recipients. From World War II to Korean War to Vietnam vets, we welcome them if they haven't participated in this wonderful event.
Our motor unit actually usually escorts the
Yes.
Tour of Honor, down, and most times we escort to the Pennsylvania-Delaware border, and Delaware State Police pick up, and then we return at the end of the day and pick them back up at the border and bring them back home, back to Parks Casino for the reception there. Yeah, but a few years ago, Delaware State Police had an issue where they couldn't pick up the escort, and we were asked, how many of us were willing to make the trip. And it was for one of the Vietnam veterans tours, and we were asked, how many of us could make the trip all the way to D.C. for the day. So we did. Our motor unit did the whole trip down there and back, and it was just pretty neat because my uncle happened to be on the tour who served in Vietnam on that day that they asked us to take the entire trip down to D.C. and back. So that was really pretty neat to be able to do that with my uncle on the tour.
Yes, and extraordinary what occurred down in Washington, D.C., Joe. It's not often that someone from Middletown, a police officer from Middletown Township, will be directing traffic in Washington, D.C.
Right.
So we had our officers out there directing traffic and taking over the whole operation.
And I do want to say Melissa just retired after 20 years in the Army as well.
Oh, God bless you for that.
So.
Yeah, well, we have to
when was you in the service? Before 90?
September 11, 2001 to actually April 23rd, 2022.
Well, we're up to 90.
90. We just moved the cutoff date to 90.
Yeah, there you go. But we will be reaching out to you soon, too, because it's just a great day of honor that you truly deserve.
Mike
thank you.
is an excellent human being. I love him. Mike DeBonis.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Our service officer.
Yeah.
I love Mike.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah, he's up. He's very active with the Yardley Post 6393. And whenever I have any issue with a veteran that has concerns or needs help with
anything.
With anything, really.
He's an excellent
He's right
resource.
there to,
Yeah.
to step in.
Several times in our police department
Yeah.
to send people up to Yardley to speak to him.
Right, right.
Great.
If he can't get it done, it's not getting
It's
done.
not.
No, it won't get done. One of the service, we just have about 3 to 5 minutes left, folks. But I wanted to once again express, as Joe did, our sympathy and condolences to the family of the Temple officer that was killed, and his viewing is going to be at the Givnish Funeral Parlor. I think it begins, Joe, at 5:30.
Yeah, I think it's 5 p.m. to 9
5
p.m.
p.m.
Correct.
to 9.
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
As they'll need all that time because that's where you'll see everyone come out in support of.
And they're also having a fundraiser at the FOP.
When
starting
is
at
that?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
Yeah, you could just go in and make a donation. The GoFundMe really did phenomenal for them. A lot. They got a lot of money for them. But we still have a GoFundMe. You could just come in and make a donation. There's no ticket charge, just a donation. You know, there's a buffet there and everything if you want to get a drink and a little bit to eat. But any officer that gets murdered for family deserves all the support we can give them. That's all I can say, you know. So I feel bad for the family. It's terrible. His father was a police officer.
Temple police officer as well.
In Philly, I think.
Oh, was it Philly? I thought it was Temple. Philly?
Yeah.
My gosh. Yeah, well, you know, once again, our hearts go out for the family. 4 children that, you know, obviously are without a father because of this senseless act. And it can happen anywhere. Mm-hmm. You know, it can happen anywhere. It's occurred up here. You listened to several of the prosecutorial stories from Matt Weintraub. He shared many of them up here. The DiNardo case and several other ones. Jennifer Shorn spoke, and she'll be speaking on our show, Justice for All. It's another show that we do about some other, you know, wonderful efforts to put these people behind bars to try and prevent these senseless acts. That's for sure. Retirees, applications at any time. If our police officers out there who are retired that aren't aware that they can belong to our association in Philadelphia. Do we have anyone on the outside borders as well?
We have people all over the country.
That's
You don't
what I
have
thought.
to be
Philadelphia.
a police officer. You don't even have to be a police officer to join our organization. You can be an auxiliary member, and the only thing you're entitled to are luncheons, our meetings. You know, we have food at all our newspapers. You're entitled to everything, but you can't vote.
Right.
Vote.
Yeah.
You have to be a retired police or fire or prison guard.
We'll have to bring Melissa, Pete, and Joe down to some of our events.
Yeah,
some of
we
our
would love it.
socials will be great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
We'll let you know.
Our next, just a shame we just had our luncheon.
Yeah.
But we have a general body meeting.
Okay.
Every other month at the FOP.
Some parting words. We have a couple minutes left, Joe.
Well, I mean,
great show today. Great show.
Quick.
Yeah, I thank everyone here, but I especially thank you, Tom, and I thank you, Charlie. Charlie, yeah.
That's all right.
I had a,
At least you got the name right.
Yeah, I had a Carol moment there. But for everything you do.
And will you come back?
I mean, we'll come back,
We have a
sure.
lot of other,
Maybe next year. No, I'm kidding. There's a lot of other chiefs you can have on.
Oh, yeah, we'll be bringing all the
so,
chiefs on. And
but I do want to thank you for everything you do. It has meaning and purpose, and that's the thing. And it's a blessing to everyone that benefits from it, and I know it's important to us too, and we just appreciate you giving us this time.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Listen, it's an
it means
honor.
a lot to us.
It's an honor to bring you one. Remember, it can be streamed, right, Bree, at any time on WBCB. If you go to your website, WBCB live stream, and you'll see these shows, and you can tell your neighbors. Perhaps if you're listening, get everyone who hasn't watched the show an opportunity. Give them an opportunity to watch the show. It can be watched at any time, so that you can understand the value of these shows. On behalf of Paul Muller, myself, Tom Mellon, here, the program director for this wonderful program, 14 years we've been doing this. I want to thank Joe and Pete and Melissa for being here. I feel very comfortable being a retired Philadelphia police officer with these shows, and I know the importance of it, and thank you for mentioning that, Joe, how important it is to continue these programs. We'll have more of Meet Your Chief on Let's Go Places each and every month coming up. We're going to get into the fire department later on, and so you understand everything that's going on. I'm Tom Mellon on behalf of Let's Go Places. Be safe, stay well. Jerry, I'm coming home to walk the dog. Got to make sure that the wife knows that I do come home from time to time.
That's very important.
Yes, and most importantly, God bless America.